Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So I'm here to put some numbers behind what you've been hearing today. So let's get started. First, let's talk about where luxury spend comes from globally. As you can see on this chart here, the Chinese and the Americans are very important to the global luxury market. More than 50% of all global luxury sales come from the Americans and the Chinese. But if you look closely here, you'll see that the Americans spend more at home, 32%, whereas the Chinese spend more traveling abroad. So what are we seeing on the travel front? The US consumer is strong, and that's helping support spend not only here, as you saw luxury American consumers spend here, but they also spend traveling, and this should help them travel more. But when you look at Chinese shoppers and the US dollar strengthening, they're traveling less to the US, and that's obviously impairing their ability to spend in the US. And remember that 8% of their spend is home, but the rest of it is abroad. So what do we see for luxury with the headwind in place? We see more tension. You've heard about President Trump's proposal to tax Chinese goods. We have $200 billion that are being taxed today at 10%, moving to 25% next year. And tomorrow, we'll hear more if potentially $267 billion worth of goods will be taxed or not. Should that happen, that would raise tariffs, and that would also add more trade tension and cause fewer Chinese consumers to travel abroad. That said, even with the tension in place, BI still estimates a high single-digit gain in global luxury sales for 2019, and that's in line with 3Q's momentum. So the global luxury goods industry, projected by Bain, is expected to grow 4 to 5% per year through 2025. Those are good numbers. If you look at total retail growth, it's only up 1 or 2% on average. So luxury is still far outpacing that number. And the US economy is strong. You saw the confidence numbers. Unemployment rate is low. So we think there will be more shopping at home. And China's doing a lot too. So we heard about the trade tension and Chinese shoppers staying home, but they're traveling in Asia. So they're spending more in Asia. They're also spending more at home. The government is infusing $30 trillion in import duty cuts to get them to spend more at home. They're adding more duty-free shops, and that's going to help. So take a look at this chart right here. It's interesting because in 2012, if you look at the import duties that were being put on, it ranged anywhere from 10 to 35%. It moderated a little as we moved over to 2017. And this year, you're seeing no to maybe 15%. And if you look at the jewelry line, which is obviously a luxury item, it went from 35% to 10%. That's a big cut, and that really helps drive spending at home. So that's why we have this optimism that, the Chinese customer may not be traveling abroad to shop as much, but they'll likely spend more at home or in the Asian countries. They're also expanding duty-free shops and trade-free areas in China, which is going to help spending more at home for people who are traveling in and for people who are traveling out. So that's encouraging as well. Now, with all of that in place, that 8% number that you saw there, which is what they spend at home, we think that's going up. And keep in mind, just some of the leading retailers and brands, Swatch has 59% of its sales in Asia alone, so it's a large number. Hermes, 48%, Ferragamo, 45%, and Richemont and Prada have 43% each. And China's GDP is still expected to grow by more than 6% in 2019. So all good numbers there. Now, what do brands and retailers have to do to stride and capture share of this growing luxury market? I think Blake Nordstrom said it really well in a conference recently that he spoke at. It really starts with a strong and healthy economy and a strong customer. And we're seeing that both here in the US and even in China. And then you have to evolve and create newness, drive freshness of flow. So luxury brands and retailers, what we're seeing them do today is really bring in new product and a continuous flow of new product that resonates not just with the customer that they once catered to maybe 10, 15 years ago, but really to the new millennial, the customer that has the spending power and is really who you need to target to make strides forward. So let's look at the results. 3Q was strong, despite all the tensions that we've had with consumers traveling. LVMH posted robust 10% organic sales growth against very tough comparisons last year. Kering's results show that there's global appeal. Across every single region that they operate in, sales were more than 25%. And we actually think in BI that their numbers for 2019 are poised for upside. Lululemon, who knew you could sell yoga pants for more than $100 year after year after year? But they've done it. Their sales for the first half of the year were same-store sales were up 20%, and they're going to report soon, and we expect continued double-digit growth there. Tapestry owns Coach and Kate Spade. You've seen the turnaround at Coach. They had a 4% same-store sales increase, and that's pretty respectable here in the US. And Kate Spade is on its way for a turnaround. Tiffany reported last night, and we saw that tourism did drag their sales. But that said, they said every single economy locally had seen an increase in spending. So the local economies are strong, and hence we think the continued strength will continue only further into 4Q and 2019. So what do retailers have to do? They have to focus on innovation, and they have to focus on stores. And when I talk about innovation, the prime example that comes to my mind is Gucci. We all saw Gucci transform, and Burberry is now doing the same thing. Closing stores is at the fore. If you have stores that are unprofitable, that are more promotional, they need to go because that tarnishes the brand image. Coach and Kors did that, and Burberry is making similar attempts along with Kate Spade. Marketing is the next thing. So retailers and brands are trying to connect with the millennial. And the best way that really they've done it is through celebrities. We saw Gucci making that attempt when they brought in Rihanna, Brad Pitt, and Salma Hayek. And Burberry's also adding some more celebrities to help it with its brand. So Beyonce as a wearer for Burberry, and Rihanna is its new TB brand, TB rebrand. Both have 100 million plus Instagram followers. So that's big. And you need to be on social. You need to be engaged with your customer to have a place in their mind. And no one can here ignore luxury in digital form. So I think that luxury brands are slower to adapt to the digital front, especially here in the US, but they're making strides. It's estimated by the CEO of Alibaba that the Chinese shoppers will account for 50% of China's retail sales digitally. That's a big number. We're at less than 10% today. And here's some examples of that. A busy chart, but really focus on the left column. So luxury will continue to grow double digits. Bain sees sales reaching 25% by 2025. That's up from less than 10% today. You could see Kering is just at 6%. Richemont is at 13%, I believe. And you have LVMH at 7%. So small numbers relative to where they need to be. And a platform that can enable more digital demand is something like Farfetch. Farfetch really targets the millennial customer. The average shopper age on someone at Farfetch is 36. In fact, 26% of the shoppers on Farfetch are under the age of 30. And their gross merchandise value is set to quadruple in 2019 from 2015 levels. So big growth happening there on the digital front. And then when we talk about innovation, because I cover US retailing, to me, Nordstrom really stands out. If any of you have ever been to California, the LA area, and visited their local format, it's actually quite interesting. So if you think of a traditional department store, it's about 100,000 square foot plus box. This is 3% of that. And what it does is it's a store without clothes. So you go in, you have people help you try on clothes, but you can't walk out with a shopping bag because they have nothing to sell to you. But you can place an order, it can be shipped to your home, or you could pick up an order that you ordered online if it's on your way home. You can get a manicure, a pedicure, have a drink, get your stuff tailored. It's an experience. And another retailer that best embodies the customer experience is Lululemon. They truly immerse themselves in the brand, whether it's through their runs, whether it's through their yoga classes, or whether it's through their sales associates. They are ambassadors of their brand. And that's important for any retailer to win today. Connecting with the millennial shopper again, here are just some few quotes of retailers and brands that are connecting with the millennial shopper and that have made a conscious intent to really get that shopper to come shop with them. I won't go through the details, but there's just a bunch of quotes here. And then I can't end without talking about holiday. I hope all of you are shopping. Sales so far look great. We've heard the holiday sales are up anywhere between 4% and 5%, and Black Friday was a good turnout at stores and online. So we see shopper spending. We expect a good holiday season. There's a lot of shopping to be done. But what we do know is in a survey that people plan to spend more on more expensive gifts this year. That's the fourth line here. You can see it's 20% versus 18.4% last year. With that, I'll end and have a great afternoon.